Hello, everybody. Welcome to First Church of Religious Science. Whether you're joining us today, or this afternoon, or this evening on Zoom, or watching this replay on YouTube, Facebook, Insta, X, or somewhere down the line, know that you're in the right place. This is our Louise self-healing class, and we're glad you're here. This class has been running weekly now for many years. And every single week, it continues to grow, reaching people from all over the country and all over the world, all over every walk of life. So however you found us or stumbled upon us, whether someone invited you or you were guided here by something deeper, thank you for being here and showing up. Now, before we move into tonight's lesson, I would like to gently remind you that this is one of 3 weekly broadcasts that we offer. It's always the same Zoom link, by the way. On Wednesdays at 7 p.m., James, our practitioner here, will host our creative living class, which is a wonderful class every Wednesday at 7 on how to live consciously and apply spiritual principles to your life. And then every Sunday morning at 10:45, we start with a meditation, and then we have our weekly message that follows immediately thereafter. So you're all welcome to any of these. That's Thursday, Wednesday, and Sunday morning. There's no need to RSVP, no hoops to jump through. Just show up when you feel called. And whether this is your first time with us or whether you've been with us for years, please know that you're not a stranger here. You're part of this. Your family now. So before I begin this class, this evening's message, I'd like to take a moment to say, if something you hear tonight speaks to you, or if something opens your heart or gives you a new perspective, jot it down here. You could mention what comes up for you in the chat, or you can speak about it when it comes time. Afterwards, there will be a time for everybody to share who wants to. We also get all your messages if you're on social media. We love getting all your messages. We appreciate all your words and your support for the work we do. The things you share are important for us to hear. As most of you know, all of our services are offered freely. There's no obligation to support the church financially. Those of you who want to, and I know there's a number of you who do, there's options in the chat room. You'll see on your screen to the right. You can also send a check to First Church at 204 West 84th Street, New York, New York. Again, that's 204 West 84th Street, New York, New York. And the zip is 10024. 10024. The main thing, though, is that you're here and that you're benefiting from this time we have together. Another way you can help the church is really important for us since we're in the digital age. If you go to YouTube and you subscribe to our channel, that helps us quite a bit, actually. And share your comments as well. So if you feel moved to do any of those things, thank you. We could benefit from your support. Support options, again, are in the chat room. So the main thing to understand is you being here is the biggest gift to us of all. Just your presence contributes to the energy of the gathering. So I'm glad you made it. You're welcome here exactly as you are. Now, for those of you who might be new to what we do, new to the class, let me say a word about this incredible woman, Louise. She offered the truth. She gave us tools. She offered a path, one that works if you work it. You'd never hear her promise that you'll have an overnight transformation, but you would always hear her say it's worth it. So let's be clear. Louise wasn't just offering feel-good advice. She made a bold, radical claim with the title of that book. She said, you can heal your life. She didn't say you could cope with your life. She didn't say you could survive it. She said you could heal it. And that idea, that belief that healing is possible is at the very heart of this teaching and this class every week. This teaching, this science of mind, this affirmative life that we teach you how to live, affirmative living is so powerful. But let's be clear, it's not magic. It does work, though. It works if you work it. And that's the slogan I'm borrowing from a 12-step program. It works if you work it. If you put in just a little bit of effort, you practice the presence, you begin to see the good instead. I could see good, I could see the God or the good. Those were the choices that were given me years ago by Dwayne Gaines. If you put in that kind of effort, you'll start to see big results. This teaching is not about getting something for nothing. And no, it's definitely not magic. It's a partnership where you're inviting spirit into your awareness. You're realizing you are connected to source. You take that step inward, and your life takes, and then your life takes a step toward you. You show up with a little bit of willingness, and the universe meets you with your power. So let's talk about what this work actually is, because it's not about trying harder. It's not about forcing yourself to be positive or pretending to be spiritual. It's about this class and this teaching is about returning to the truth of who you really are before the world told you to do anything, to be anything, before the world suggested that you need to play some kind of role. So once you begin to take a pause and take these timeouts that we talk about, just long enough to bring this teaching into your head and your heart, you'll start to sense the deepness that we talk about. Again, that you're not just reacting to life, you're caused your own experience. And the thing is, most people don't know that. It's not that people are unwilling, it's that they've never heard this type of information before. They've been taught that life just happens to them, or that they're a victim of circumstances. Some people believe they're powerless, or that someone else is calling all the shots. People don't realize, I mean, I'm sure most of you realize, but people in the world generally don't realize that they are caused to their own experience. But when you start to understand this truth, and you start to understand that you are one with this one infinite creative process, this intelligence, that you're one with this creative energy, then you're going to start to notice. You're going to begin to wake up. And then you're going to start to use the power. That's the work. It begins often in quiet moments, like when you hear yourself say negative statements like, oh, I'm dumb, or I'm terrible with this, or I'm terrible with that, I'm terrible with money, or I'll never get this right or that right. Or you might go in another direction. Oh, people really annoy me or disappoint me. And instead of brushing it off, you pause. In this teaching, you learn to catch yourself when you're going negative something, and you will say something like, wait a second, why did I say that? Stop. Do I even believe that? Where did I learn that negative thing? Is that true? That's the kind of work we learn to do here. We catch ourselves mid-sentence, in the middle of the negativity, in the middle of the story, and we stop. We stop in the name of love. We just simply stop. We pause. We release whatever false idea that we're entertaining or that we're repeating, and we replace it with an idea of truth. You can see yourself maybe standing in front of the mirror, and some voice comes up and say, oh my God, as you look at yourself. And you might go on to say, oh, you look terrible, you're falling apart. Or maybe you'd go in a different direction and say to yourself, oh, gee, you're never going to change. What a fool. And for a moment, you feel that sting, judgment or criticism. But then you remember, the teaching comes in and you remember, you say, look, I release that. I am an individualization of life itself. I like myself, or I love myself, or I love, accept, and approve of myself. These are all affirmations from Louise Hay's work. So let's be real. That's a lot of work for anyone who's spent a lifetime swimming in self-criticism. But it is the work that we do. Louise Hay would say, never, never, never criticize the self. And she would also say, because nothing good comes from it. Sometimes the work shows up when everything seems to be going wrong, or when people are upset with you, when there's tension in your family, or challenges on your job, when you're overwhelmed, tired, or tempted to spiral into blaming, or you're in a place of sadness. And that's the moment to stop and ask or say, enough is enough. I mean, what the heck? Why am I creating this? What am I creating this whole situation to be? And you can remind yourself in those moments, I know better. And you can remind yourself and say, I don't want to keep playing the blame game either. I want to wake up. See, there's a part of all of us that want to be whole. And there's a part of all of us that want to step out of all that type of thinking and that negativity. Many years ago, I had a spiritual teacher. I've had many. Well, I've had at least several that have been extraordinary. Her name was Shelley. She was remarkable, wise, and very clear. And I watched her in operation in many groups. And what stood out most of the time as I observed her, she never got caught up in anyone's story that I could ever remember. She'd always listen with empathy and caring and patience, and with real compassion, because I could see that she cared about people. But she was never particularly interested in who did what to whom. She wasn't focused on what other people had done wrong. She was always asking us in that wonderful group, what are you creating this to be? Or who are you creating this person to be? Because she understood that we're all spinning. We're all spinning something. We're all reacting and we're creating meaning consciously or unconsciously. And the heart of this work is always going to be the same. We want to always bring it back to ourselves, what our thoughts are about, what we're thinking, how we're thinking about things, how we're thinking about people. Because when we're thinking about other people all the time, and especially when we're being critical or anything else, the story is really never about them. The story is always going to be about you. So we want to bring it back to ourselves because we understand that you are the creator of your own life. Again, you are the creator of your own life. So if you're talking a lot about thinking about other people, what they're doing, right, wrong, or indifferent, this is about you. You are a center of spiritual activity yourself. You are the author of your own experience. In a spiritual sense, nobody's really doing anything to you. You are allowing things to happen. You are interpreting. You are reacting to various things. And you have the power always to choose a different route. You have the power also to choose differently. So I've learned, and I'm passing on to you, that we create people to be all kinds of things in our lives. We give them roles, and sometimes we change our mind. Raymond Charles Barker once said, you are the whole bit, meaning you're at the center of all this activity. You might think, oh, I have nothing to do with this. I have nothing to do with that. But really, you are the center of all this activity. So we want to release the need to be so other-referred. We want to stop pointing outward, talking about what he, she, they are doing. We want to stop that as much as we can, all that outward pointing, and begin to look inward at what we are doing, what we are creating. We want to know deeply that we are the cause to our own experience, and we want to become more self-aware, more observant, more awake, because when we do, then we can become more intentional. Sometimes that means taking a sacred time out. Instead of obsessing over anything and everything that went wrong or what was said or not said, instead of replaying the drama, retelling the story to someone else, some of us have been around a while, we might choose to quiet down, to take a pause. Maybe we'll go into the first step of affirmative prayer. And the first step of affirmative prayer is recognition. So we'll take a pause and we'll recognize that there is this spirit, this energy, and it is all that it is, and it's in everything and anyone. It's in everything and anything, and it's in me now. So instead of being caught up in all the commotion, we quiet down and we take a pause and we go into the first step of affirmative prayer, recognizing that God is all that there is, or Spirit is all that there is. We center ourselves, we calm ourselves. Some of you journal, some of you meditate, but you become quieter. We sit in stillness until we become clear again, till we get out of the story, until we remember all is well. And then we realize, once we know all is well, you're centered, you realize I have the ability to turn this around. I am an empowered individual. I'm one with the one. Of course I can turn it around. In truth, there's nothing outside of us, right? So you can turn anything around if you want to. Sometimes it means having the courage to walk away from something, toxic situation. Walk away not in anger. Walking away not with a big explanation. It's not necessary. Walking away perhaps with peace, with a quiet inner knowing that says, all is well. I no longer need to be here. And sometimes in those deeply personal moments, it means saying to yourself or whispering to yourself, I'm no longer available for self-abandonment. See, all of these things are examples of the work. So now it's time to take it one step deeper. Let's talk about taking a little spiritual inventory. Because in order to change anything, in order to grow, in order to evolve or to truly heal, we have to take a look, an honest look at our thoughts, our thinking, our beliefs, our worries, our patterns, what it's been like being us. Because your beliefs are governing you, not the ones that you post on social media, but the quiet ones, the inherited ones, the old internal programming that's been running around in the background for years. They are controlling our lives. And if we don't pause to notice them and to get to know ourselves, these keep showing up as patterns over and over again. Ernest Holmes said it this way: we cannot heal what we do not own. We cannot shift what we deny exists. Again, so Ernest Holmes is saying you can't heal it if you're not aware. You can't shift what you deny exists. So this is part of the journey where we stop avoiding life and where we start being honest with love. So we don't have to worry about this. It isn't like a quiz when we do an inventory. So here are a few questions that could be life changing. The first one's about blame. You might ask, well, where am I blaming someone for how I feel? Or what resentment am I holding on to? Where am I showing up where I need to be right? Where am I in survival, hanging on to something or someone instead of releasing it so I could experience relief or freedom or joy? And what belief do I have about myself that I've been quietly repeating that really no longer serves me or serves the person I'm becoming? So right here, right now, let's take a breath together. In and out. Know that it's safe. Just notice what comes up, these different areas where things happen, where a dialogue that goes on within us, it really doesn't work for our best. And you don't have to fix it right away. But whatever comes up, just witness it. Because when you notice that you're working against yourself, just the ability to begin to see it is where the healing happens. So that's why I've always loved a quote from the Course in Miracles, which is this: in truth, there's nothing outside of you. Again, in truth, there's nothing outside of you. That doesn't mean that the world isn't happening. It means that your power isn't out there. Your power is in here, right here within you. So we can make up a bunch of stuff, but in truth, there's nothing outside of us. Raymond Charles Barker used to say, mental clarity is the foundation of demonstration. Again, mental clarity is the foundation of demonstration. Once you are in the teaching a little bit more, you understand that you live and you move and you have your being in this energy, this essence, and you're so clear that you are moving in it, living in it, you're part of it. You're going to demonstrate that. If your thinking is cluttered with ideas like, she said this, he said that, they should do this, they should do that, then your experience is going to reflect all that clutter. That's why our spiritual journey, our inventory is important. We're not doing an inventory to feel bad. We're doing an inventory to clean up the lens that we're looking through. We don't do it to experience guilt. We do it with grace. As Ernest Holmes reminds us, Spirit doesn't look at you and find fault. It simply waits for us to wake up and align. We're not fixing something that's broken either. We're becoming more aware. We're aware of our patterns. We're aware of our power. We're aware of the divine order that's underneath everything. There's not a spot where God is not. And in this teaching, awareness is the first act of love. In this teaching, awareness is saying, here's the thought I've been believing. Here's the fear I've been hiding. Here's the place where I've been choosing limitation. And once you see it, it can be changed. So let's take another breath. In and out. There's no judgment here. There's only love and the invitation to be even more free than you were yesterday. So let's take that breath in. Let's take this one step deeper. After all this talk is about looking within, noticing patterns, doing an inventory. So let's come back to the most important truth of them all. You are never stuck, and you never were. Louise reminded us of this over and over again when she said the point of power is always in the present moment. You're free to choose again, and you're never stuck. It doesn't matter what your past has looked like, what you've done. It doesn't matter what beliefs you've carried. It doesn't matter what someone said about you or said to you 20 years ago, or what you've said about yourself and to yourself 20 times today. The thing that's important is right here, right now, you can choose again, and that's exactly what we teach in religious science. We teach that this principle, this divine principle that we talk about, is not bound by precedent. It's not bound by anything that happened in the past, not yesterday, not even this morning. That means the past does not dictate the future unless we keep repeating the past. I teach you week by week, you can interrupt any pattern. You have the power. The point of power is right here in this moment. You can interrupt any pattern. You can release any looping thought that's working against you. You can say, right now, I see what I've been thinking and I'm done with it. I'm ready to release it. I'm ready to upgrade it. And that's the beauty of this teaching. It's not about the past. It's about the now. It's about right here, right now. It never has been about the past. So please, please, please let that go. You don't have to wait until next week. You don't have to wait for someone else's permission. You don't even need to be more ready. Your moment of power is this moment. And it all begins with one decision, the decision to think differently, or the decision to speak from love instead of fear, the decision to affirm, even when the old story resists. You're not being asked to fake anything. You're being invited to align with the givingness of life. You're being invited to align with truth. Because beneath all the noise and the craziness, all the personalities and all the history, his story, her story, my story, beneath and beyond all of that, there's a part of you that has never, ever forgotten. There's a place within you that's always been whole. There's a place within you that's whole and complete. And that part of you is not buried under trauma. It's simply waiting for your attention, waiting for you to notice, waiting for your agreement. And the moment you say, yes, I'm willing to live from that connected place now, from that truth, that part of you awakens. Your inner power comes online. Again, you don't need to be perfect. You don't need anyone to understand it. You simply need to decide. Raymond Charles Barker said so clearly, nothing happens until you decide. And once you do, the universe rises to meet your decision. So right now, in this very moment, I invite you to pause. to sense that inner thing and feel it, and feel the inner quickening. Feel the shift. Take a slow breath in and out, a breath in, and say to yourself, I choose again. I am choosing again. I am willing. I'm in the right place at the right time, and the point of power is right now. Let that truth settle in your body. Breathe it in. Let that truth begin to breathe you. Because once you decide, the energy begins to move. And as we often say in this teaching, the universe rises up to meet that decision. So let's seal this now with words from Louise. Every thought I think is creating our future, or every thought we think. Let's begin to think now on purpose. I'll offer a few affirmations. You can repeat them to yourself, or just let them wash over you. There's no pressure. There's no performance. There's just presence. Take a breath. And now we say, I am willing to change. I'm willing to release the past. I'm willing to see myself differently. Let's take a breath. And now, I now choose to let go of the stories, every single one of them, all stories that don't support me or serve me. I return my power to myself. I live in the freedom of this present moment. Let's take it deeper still. I forgive myself for believing that I had to do it perfectly. I forgive myself for waiting on someone else's approval. I forgive myself for holding on to so much pain. I forgive myself for holding on to pain that I no longer needed. And finally, I bless the person I'm becoming because I know they're already inside of me. So let's pause for a moment, breathing in and out, feeling the energy this last time, or feeling the energy of that last statement. I bless the person I'm becoming because I know that person's already inside of me. You're not becoming someone new. What you're doing is you're remembering who you really are. That's what this work is about. You're not forcing change. You're allowing a return to wholeness, a return to peace, a return to your natural state. So let's take this moment. And if it feels right, you could put a hand on your heart to keep breathing and repeat to yourself, I'm safe, I'm healing, I'm open to what's next. I trust the process of life because that's the truth and it's working. Maybe something this evening stirred within you, and that's good. Maybe you laughed, maybe you sat quietly and breathed. But whatever you did, you stayed with yourself this evening, and that is really doing the work. We often think of how transformation should look, what it should feel like. Sometimes we think we should have big fireworks, something dramatic happen. But real change often looks just like this. You sitting in your home on a Thursday evening or listening, opening, breathing, doing the invisible, powerful, sacred inner work that shifts everything. And here's the truth about that. You're already doing it. Louise used to say, you've been criticizing yourself for a long time, for years, and it hasn't produced anything. It hasn't worked. Try approving of yourself and see what happens. Try loving yourself unconditionally and see what happens. So let me say it clearly one more time without ambiguity or hesitation. You are worth the effort. That's tonight's talk. You are worth the effort. Your healing is worth the effort. Your freedom is worth the effort. Your clarity, your peace of mind, your joy, they are all worth it. So remember, this teaching isn't about something for nothing. It requires a choice. It requires willingness. It requires you to say, yes, I'm ready to walk this path. I intend to live the affirmative life. Raymond Charles Barker said, Indecision is actually the decision to fail. But when you decide, power is released. Again, from Barker, indecision is actually the decision to fail. But when you decide, power is released. And I'll echo something my mother used to say to me so many times. It's still just as true today as ever. It's entirely up to you. This isn't about doing anything perfectly. It's not about fixing everything in one night. It's not about getting a spiritual gold star in a class. It's about staying in the conversation, staying in connection, staying in the process, staying with yourself. Because the moment you decide to do that, everything's going to change. Everything is going to shift. So if something again was quickened for you tonight, even for just a moment, if you felt a flicker of possibility, hang on to it. Don't let that go. Hold on to that flame. Fan it. Honor that opening. Trust what you felt. We're not here to shame anyone for being where they are. This is not a teaching of judgment anyway. This is a teaching of empowerment. That's what this work is about. Again, you're not forcing change. You're allowing a return to wholeness, a return to peace. So let's take this moment now, and I'm going to close with an affirmative prayer. I'm going to affirm the truth, anchor the good, bless our journey. Wherever you are right now, let's turn within. There is one life, one power, one presence, and it's working in me now. It's not separate, it's not delayed, it's here now, and it's mine to use. Tonight, I remember that I'm not a victim of the past. I'm not defined by the old story. I'm not limited by what others see or don't see in me. I am a living expression of the infinite. I'm willing to change. I'm willing to grow. I'm willing to heal. I'm willing to heal whatever I believed before. I can choose again. Whatever I feared before, I can now release. Whatever I've been waiting for, I realize now it's been waiting on me. I bless my journey, I bless my process, and I bless this moment. I know the universe is always saying yes, and I now say yes in return. Yes to clarity, yes to courage, yes to love. And so I release this word unto the law, knowing it's already done. And so it is. So before we say goodbye, we're going to now have the community sharing. This is the part of the evening where we open up the circle to all of you. If you've not been here before, please say hello. Tell us where you're from. I'm glad you're here. If you're joining live on Zoom, you're invited to share what's coming up for you, whether it's a feeling, an insight, a memory. Just say hello. There's no pressure to speak. This is your space to be heard. So thank you. And if you're watching a replay, feel free to drop us a message at the church, send us an email or private note. All of you are important to us. And again, thank you for all being here. So we'll see you in a moment.